I'm glad that my presentation is on now, so everything's fine. Hello, I'm Marleen. I have been a lecturer for about 5 years at the Amsterdam University of Applied Science. And recently I've joined a team of policymakers, change managers, educational designers and lecturers who are trying to move our educational system towards the 21st century. This is called the Amsterdam Model for Education and Research. So you'll hear both University of Applied Science Amsterdam and the Amsterdam Model for Education and Research. So the whole Amsterdam University of Applied Sciences contains of about 50,000 students and about 3,700 employees. And we, as a group of the Amsterdam Model of Education and Research, we are working in one of the 7 schools, as you can see here. We are working on the left top one, the School for Digital Media and Creative Industries, and this school houses about 5,000 students and about 450 employees. Within the School of Digital Media and Creative Industries, we have about 5 departments: communication and multimedia design, information and communication technology, media information and communication, communication itself, and the Amsterdam Fashion Institute. And it's all about web design, user experience design, programming development, TV, radio, media management, media marketing, and fashion itself. So what am I going to talk about today? As we are working in this school, we have already seen this morning in our keynote speaker's presentation, that the world is changing. Education really has to make a shift towards the 21st century. And the way we are doing this at the moment is by applying a certain kind of process, which is called the design thinking process. And I will show you during this presentation how we are working with it and why we are making these choices as we do. So there's the why, the what, and the how in this presentation. It's a bit different. So as we have seen this morning in our presentation of the keynotes, the world is changing, globalization and technological process is moving faster as ever. So it's also moving beyond our recognition. On the other hand, we also have many wicked problems. They are not easy to be solved: environmental, societal and cultural problems. And they have denoted a resistance to resolution, which means that they have most of the times have incomplete, contradictory and changing requirements, which are even very difficult to recognize in the first place. So these wicked problems are not easy to be solved and are not solved by separate disciplines. So we really have to cooperate as a whole. A result of these two drivers is that the professions are changing all the time, and our industries also have to work more interdisciplinary than ever. So this is moving on in the outside world, but if you look at the educational system, I think we all notice that the system is falling behind. If you look at the Dutch educational institutions, they have been formed about in the last 150, 200 years from very small scale, and they've moved to very large scale performance institutes, and therefore they are very difficult to change. They are very rigid. So we as an institution, as a school of 5,000 students and 450 employees, we have to change our way of thinking, our way of learning, working and living. But it's very difficult to change such a rigid structure. So the how is a very important question to really start making a change in the first place. One of the ways, if you look at the past, how we've dealt with strategy plans towards bringing change to the stage, is that it's no longer possible to really define one goal and to head in towards that direction. That's what we used to have done, but now it's very difficult to work in this manner because the world is changing all the time. So I would like to use the metaphor of a sailing boat who is really floating towards the horizon and sailing, setting its sails, and just keep on going. But as you notice, that the point of the horizon will always move with you. It will move along with you. So you'll never reach your destination. Another thing, if you have the metaphor of a sailing boat who's sailing towards the horizon, is that it's you can also suddenly change direction because something happens which is so influential that you have to change the way you were thinking about the direction that you were heading to. So this metaphor is of a sailing boat on the horizon is something we use in our program, in our team, to really start developing our educational system and changing it. So it's not about predicting the future, but it's more about designing the future. And what is exactly this whole design about? I'm not sure how familiar you are with the whole process of design thinking, but design thinking is really about not setting goals and targets, but it's more about learning by doing. It's a pragmatic approach to change, where nobody knows the solutions and the answers, so everybody is able to join in. It's an iterative process, and we are never finished. And it's about anticipation, stay open for unexpected events, sometimes also called serendipity. So the why, the how, and the what is something that we are working on all the time. It's the context, the process, and the service of educating people or learning in the first place. That's something we are dealing with every day. So the Amsterdam Model of Education and Research is a team of policymakers, change managers, lecturers, educational designers, also students and external professionals. We are really using the stakeholder model where everybody is involved in the process and has a vote. So everybody can say something about how things have to change. And we use the method of service design, which means that we are working on 3 different levels. We are working on an organizational level, but also in the involvement of our educational programs, as well as problems from the industries that we are trying to solve. So we were really working on these 3 levels all together the whole time. So the whole Amsterdam Model of Education Research is really a way of thinking and doing, specifically doing is very important, in order to create the education for the 21st century. So how do we do this? I just explained how we are working. We're working with the design thinking process. Our topic is education, and the context of where we are working in is the 21st century, which is a very big topic, of course. How are we working? We're a school with 5,000 students. There are 5 schools, 450 employees. So we started many experiments on various levels within the departments. For these 5 departments, in each department we talked to the school managers and we defined experiments where we were working with. Each experiment is dealing with a wicked problem or a network problem. And it's also dealing with these 3 layers. It's dealing with the context, the process, and the service that we are delivering to our students. If you just start experimenting without any grip, then you really don't know where you're heading to. So in order to really bring some grip to the stage and to really help also the educators themselves, the lecturers that we are talking with, but also staff services, we defined design principles that everybody can use within their experiments. So you can, for instance, in one of our schools in the 2nd year program, you can as a lecturer say, well, let's do something with my course. I would like to do something with these design principles. So they come up to us or we go to them, we talk about it and we'll find out how they can change their course for just a short period of time. But we're also talking about curriculum change. So it's a really big one. So how do you change your whole curriculum? What's important? How do you really define the design principles within your programs? What is really missing and what is really contributing? These design principles are about lifelong learning, which on the one hand is about ownership of your own individual learning routes, but also about reaching your personal goals, your ambitions, to really focus on the drive of the individual students that are in the whole process. It's about interdisciplinary learning, which is also about talking about different perspectives that are all in the table present. So if you put everybody together in a group and they start talking, then you can really share your ideas and probably you can come up with a form that's really valuable for all participants in the project. It's about adaptivity, which is of course to be flexible, to be open to change all the time, and to embed your changes very easily. And it's about community of practices. So if you put everybody in one group and they are working together, not only students but also lecturers, researchers and external professionals, then you can really try to have knowledge transfer on all different levels, on student levels, on researcher levels and on lecturer levels. So everybody is learning. That's the essence of this whole idea. And of course it's an iterative process which is very well known in the design process itself. So one of our outputs are called ateliers. It's actually an experiment that is looking for a new educational form, a new way of learning. We bring everybody to the table, so external professionals, but also researchers and students and lecturers. And at this moment we are really searching what kind of shape, what kind of forms can we create to really offer valuable learning processes that really add meaning for not only the students, but maybe also for the researcher or maybe even a school manager. So we're really trying to bring everybody into this learning process. This is done right now. We will start with the first ateliers in February 2016 on a very small scale, and then in September 2016 we will enlarge this whole atelier idea with about maybe 60 students, maybe 100. We'll see what happens. And then we tend to really build about maybe 15 or 20, maybe 30 ateliers, and where in each atelier we will work on wicked problems. And they can be, for instance, robotic as a very large theme, and within these large themes are separate unities that work on specific micro problems, but also on macro problems. So we really try to bring in everything and everybody at the same time. One of the ways of really transporting knowledge, or also instead of judging the students, we are delivering the portfolio system. So each student or each learner will have a portfolio that they have to bring into the ateliers and say, well, this is me. I will bring this to this atelier, and I'm really hoping to get this knowledge and these skills back. So it's really about transferring knowledge and skills all the time and showing them in portfolios. So it's not about testing and setting up criteria and requirements, but really about showing your portfolio and just explain, this is what I'm going to bring, this is what I hope to get. Of course we have MOOCs. We started with a MOOC about prototyping last year, and it's very successful, and we hope to enroll this even more, so that not only our educational forms will take place within the schools, but also outside and online, really evolve in blended learning processes. And of course, this is me speaking here, a member of a team. Our team is about 15 people large, but our school is of course much bigger. So I am also a lecturer within one of the departments, and I'm also talking to my fellow colleagues who I've known for years. So we're also looking for initiatives and ideas that really come from bottom up. So specifically you could say even students could initiate an activity or an experiment and say, hey, hello Marleen, I would like to start doing something. Can you help me? I would really like to learn more about something that I don't know or don't get into this department where I'm studying right now. So this is in short our whole experiment. It's really about applying the design thinking process within our educational system to face the 21st century. And it's in a school of about 5,000 students and 450 employees. So this was about it. Thank you very much.